Hello, my friends. Welcome again to another episode of the Bridging Divides podcast, where we give you the advice, tools, and resources to be able to build the bridge of success in your lives. I'm super excited to bring you our guests today. We have Addie and her mom, Claudia. They are the brains behind life skills for confidence, which they've been talking to me about for a long time, and we've been wanting to do this episode for a while. And so I'm super, super excited to bring you guys here today to be able to talk to our viewers about everything.
I'm so excited too.
Welcome, welcome.
Mm-hmm.
I know,
Awesome. Thanks so much for having us.
Yeah.
This is going to be fun.
Absolutely.
Like you said, we've been looking forward to this.
You guys and I kind of bonded over our shared kind of, I don't know, quirkiness, if you will. I know, like, as soon as we met, it was all hugs and, just absolutely loved it.
Yes.
So I'm super, super excited.
I think that we bonded over our enthusiasm for life.
I think so,
and
honestly.
Excitement and happiness. And I mean, those aren't like things that everyone
I
knows
know,
how to
and
do.
it's really good to be able to meet other people that, you share that passion with, but then also you get recharged by. Mm-hmm. So every time I see you guys, I'm just like, oh yeah, like I'm ready to go. I'm super excited. Which obviously, I mean, if you're doing what you're doing, is also a very important skill to have. So
that is true.
Communication skills and the ability to find mutual interests and being authentic. That's one of the things that we really find important, and we enjoy the idea that we can be a little unique sometimes, and we get away with it.
No, absolutely. I think authenticity is one of the biggest things. It's difficult a lot of the times because it's kind of a vulnerable thing to be able to let yourself kind of be open enough to have people see that authentic part of yourself. But with confidence comes that authenticity, and from that authenticity you feel fulfilled.
So true.
And so, which is why I love what you guys are teaching. And so I'm really excited to dive in and let our listeners and viewers kind of hear about what you guys do and everything.
Fantastic.
To start, I want to kind of go over how life skills for confidence came to be. Because it's for teens, correct?
Yes,
or teens and parents. Or what's the target range?
We work directly with the teenagers.
Right.
Of course, we have to work with the parents as well, and it's always the parents that are coming to us on behalf of their teenagers because they are interested. The parents are typically interested in personal development on their own.
Okay.
And so they see our program and think that it's amazing because it's personal development,
right,
self-growth, and so it's
Basic
unique.
life
There's
skills.
not a lot of other online online videos that are talking teen speak.
Right.
I think my student said it the best the other day. He said, "I've heard all of this from my parents, but you made it make sense."
Right.
In the videos.
I think that that's so important too, because I remember having mentors of my own growing up that they would say certain things, or I'd come home and talk to my parents and be like, "Oh my gosh, you won't believe what they said." And they're like, "Dude," they didn't say dude, but they're like, "We've been telling you this for so long, and now you're just picking up on it." But that's why I think that it's so important to be able to take those principles and relate them in a way where they will understand and actually respond.
And just hearing it from another person too, I think a lot of times validates it. It's like, well, that's what I've been told at home, so that gives them comfort level that they understand what we're doing. The age group is basically 10 to 20 years old. You have different skills that kids have at different times in their life. All 14-year-olds are not alike. And so consequently, you find that the younger kids sometimes relate more than you would think, and the older kids didn't really understand. They've been a little more sheltered,
right.
Maybe been in homeschool all of their life or so. So we find that each lesson has something for all different age groups.
I love that.
Which is amazing. Yeah, it really works well.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, Claudia, you wrote the curriculum?
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
How long ago did you write, when did this start?
Well, I finished up, about 7 years ago. I had been writing the life skill lessons for my grandchildren because I wasn't
Awesome.
close to them. I wasn't able to be with them. And when I was teaching the classes live at Communiversity, I was having so much fun on the weekends with the kids for like a 4-hour class, and they were just resonating with it. They were learning so much.
That's awesome.
And Addie was helping me. And it was so much fun to have her there. I loved it. But that was when she began to realize how impactful it was.
So at that time that I was being a nice daughter and volunteering to help her with her cute project, is
Yeah,
what I
right.
saw it as, I was working at Banner Health Corporate Center. And
Got it.
so I was in the corporate world. I loved it. I had a team, a big team. I was on my way, CEO, skip through levels of management. This
Right.
was not my intent, is the point of
Interesting.
that.
Yeah.
I wanted to be in the corporate world. And I helped her with the live lessons, and all of a sudden, I had this massive feeling that we needed to record this, we needed to put it on video, and we needed to share it with the North America. Not necessarily the world, because what we teach is very American
Pro-American.
society,
Interesting.
societal
Okay, it kind of fits more into-
behaviors, societal etiquette,
Got
social etiquette. So it's all very specific. But as soon as I saw that she had written it down, and these are things that she had taught me, and things that I feel I was more successful because I had the knowledge. I was able to run a large table of, medical directors because I had the confidence to talk to them about it. So
Fantastic.
in addition, I had a lot of the technical background, so I
Right.
was able to figure out how to take it from a recording into video editing. And now we have 24 video lessons that have
Beautiful.
music, pictures, wording. They are not boring at all. 10 to
Wow.
15 minutes a piece, and those are proven. We have put those videos through lots of different testing with students to make sure that the result that they are getting is empowerment, because that's
Okay.
really the key, that we want them to feel empowerment. Confidence is something that you create daily.
Yeah.
It's something that you can continuously work on, but empowerment moves you forward. Empowerment
Right.
is a lifestyle.
Interesting. So it's the confidence is what leads to the empowerment.
Exactly.
Beautiful.
A lot of times we'll bring up the fact that when you practice something, then you have experience. And once
Right.
you have that experience gives you confidence.
Right.
And then that's the way that you can step into a formal setting that you've never really been to before, but because you set the table for your mom 2 or 3 times, or because you understand that it's good manners to, seat someone else, or to, maybe tell the hostess thank you, or
Got it.
the different things that we go through, give them the confidence that I know what's going on here. I can do this. I belong here, kind of a feel. And the same thing with their own bodies. I mean, the second module is just all about themselves. Your mind, body, and spirit, we have to feed it. We have to
Yeah.
feed it the right things.
No, absolutely. So that's a perfect segue. So go ahead, if you will, tell what are the modules? 10,000 foot view.
Cool.
What's the program?
Well, she said there's 24 lessons, and so it's 6 lessons in each module. I was amazed that we could break them down into 10 and 15-minute, lessons. But when we got through, I was fascinated with the idea that the one point that we made was a really important point. So taking the points a little bit slower that way, instead of doing it all in one class, was actually working. So the first one is basically the path of growth so far. We talk a little bit about parent tapes, that we want the kids to understand that they need to judge other people basically based on that person, not, on anything more than that, to give that person a chance, everyone. That was one of our first students who told his mom and dad, I decided I don't want to be a prejudiced person. Addie and I were so thrilled. And, it goes on to talk about determination, how totally determined we have to be. We put these kids out of high school and we say, okay, you go out there and compete with the rest of the world.
Good luck.
There you go, exactly. They're all smarter than you, they make more money than you, they have more education and more experience. But don't worry about it, you'll do fine. So we want them to do fine. So we work right into the 3 lessons that we're doing right now for our special, which would be feelings and understanding how to convert them to more positive things, understanding about choices and how good choices end up with bringing you benefits, and you can take those benefits and help others, you know.
Absolutely.
And then the third lesson in that one module is about being able to visualize, learning how to really see yourself in different settings so that you have that ability to say, yeah, I'm going to be that college graduate, or I'm going to have that relationship that's healthy. And
You have that clear goal of what it is
yeah.
that you want to accomplish.
So then the modules 3 and 4 are her favorites, which is etiquette and the social skills, learning how to shake hands, carry on a conversation, pass a conversation back and forth, all those fun things. And then the last one I covered pretty thoroughly about cultures. I've traveled all over the world. I worked as a realtor for 40 years, so I have a lot of background with people and sales. And I'm, I was a hypnotist for a couple of years. Boring job, but,
Put you to sleep.
But it really
But,
did, exactly. It has helped us to help the kids learn how to relax more.
Right.
To walk away, to have their peaceful place.
Yeah, to get that kind of neutrality to kind of handle those difficult situations.
Exactly, yes. Do you have something to add to all those 4 modules?
So we had, real quick, just
Yeah.
so I can recap,
Mm-hmm.
we had
Path to growth.
path to growth, which is dealing with kind of where they're at and then where they want to go, kind of where
Exactly.
they want to go.
How determined you have to be.
Yeah, and then number 2 was
Mind, body, self.
mind, body, self.
And the resilience that you need to have.
And the positivity.
Oh, 100%. Oh my
Positivity.
gosh, yeah, we will talk about that
Third
one in
module
3.
is social skills,
Okay, and then 4 was the cultures.
social etiquette, and cultures.
Social etiquette and cultures. Basically how to then interact with
Yeah,
other people.
Exactly.
living here in the United States, we have that opportunity to have multicultures.
Oh yeah, which is amazing. I have this in my family. I mean, I have several.
Mm-hmm.
So I went on a mission trip for my church to
Ah.
South America. And so I was in
Cool.
Argentina, Uruguay, Brazil, a lot of different cultures there. But then a lot of people in my family have done that. And then I
Mm-hmm.
also have an aunt from Mexico, and we have different cultures, different religions, all within my family.
That's huge.
And so it's been this
Super opportunity.
I know,
great
we're very
opportunity to be
Yeah.
able
To
to
learn about
kind of
others.
see outside of just kind of the blinders that we put on all the time is so important.
And the conditioning that we receive here in
100%.
America, and we're conditioned every day. We allow ourselves to be conditioned, or we pay attention to it. But especially here, like you said, those blinders. We do cover, speaking of blinders, entitlement, because that is kind of what you're talking about, which
Yeah.
is that view of the world, being able to see where you stand in relation to the rest of the world. So we do kind of teach them about entitlement. We teach them that America is the richest, North America is
Yeah.
the richest country in the world, and that we're so fortunate to live here. And even the poorest people here are some of the richest in the world.
Oh, absolutely.
So
Everybody,
just
really.
being able to kind of give them that perspective that you're saying, a lot of them don't have the opportunity to travel yet as a young person.
Yeah.
So to give them, help them to take those blinders off.
No, I think that's fantastic. I remember reading something about being in the top 1%, right?
Oh, yeah,
And so it's like being in the top 1% in the U.S.,
Mm-hmm.
you have to make $250,000 plus, right?
Yeah.
Being in the 1% of the world, you have to make like $30,000 a year.
Exactly.
It's like a
That's a good way to put it.
totally crazy difference.
Mm-hmm.
But if you really think about, even the poorest people here in the United States,
Have.
so
And education.
we are so
Yeah,
much
have.
better off.
Mhm.
Oh my goodness, yeah, education and opportunities
Yes.
and programs that can
Exactly.
get you other education and different things like that. Oh my goodness, it's incredible.
Mhm.
And I think that coming from a place of gratitude, I think
good point.
that I think I heard somebody say gratitude and anxiety can't exist in the same space. So if you're going through something that's difficult and you're having a difficult situation, something just happened to you, but you can immediately go to that place of, well, I'm grateful that XYZ
Oh,
can
so
help you get
important.
through whatever it is that you're going through.
Marvelous.
That depression and anxiety can't exist in that same space.
And,
Totally.
stress is the biggest killer. It really
Oh,
is.
100%. Heart
very, very
problems
dangerous.
and GI issues and oh my goodness.
Yeah, so back to that positive affirmations, positive suggestions. We teach them how to write their own positive suggestions
Oh, amazing.
properly. And I think that really helps a lot too for the parents too to understand that these are the kinds of things that they want to encourage the kids to do, to learn how to, convert their negative thinking, how to have positive suggestions, how there's so many things that we pass on to them.
Well, I mean,
I love
kind of
that.
back to your point too, which is the focus. We focus a lot on positivity. So anxiety and
100%.
depression is what you said. No, anxiety and gratitude can't exist in the same
Yep.
mental space. So what we continue to kind of help them do is to change their mind. So that's where that I feel bad for myself. Things are stressful. Things are, kind of chaotic. My family, things around me, school, because their environment is really stressful.
Oh, absolutely.
So what we want to help them do is to identify, how does this feel when I'm stressed? Okay, got it. Now they have a baseline. So kind of helping them work through their personal stress to get to that place of calm and peace. Helping them to utilize that gratitude to create a positive
The
life for
abundance
themselves.
that they have.
I mean, that positivity, we focus so much on positivity, and I feel like it's extremely unique in that particular sense because we are teaching the young people. We are planting seeds in their mind that they should be happy. They should feel good. They should, or they should isn't really a good word, but you know what I'm saying?
No, I gotcha.
Feeling good, being happy. These are the things that we want them to do. Even though society wants us to do, something potentially different, we can be different. We can be happy.
Yeah, and that's not to say that life is supposed to be sunshine and rainbows all the time, right? And that's
fake.
That's fake, exactly. But
The underlying joy.
The underlying joy through what you're going through. It is possible to feel joy while you're going through something difficult, but you need the right tools and the right kind of cognitive, ability to be able to say, okay, well, here's what's happening. Here are the feelings that I'm having.
Right.
Not trying to stuff them down,
Right.
but to feel them, identify them, accept them, and then to be able to essentially
Make a good choice.
make a good choice out of that, to then have consequences that will bring you more
Exactly.
positive things in your life.
Yes.
I think that's fantastic.
Yeah,
And
I-
resilience.
I think my goal,
that's a perfect word.
Yeah, it is. My primary goal has just I want them to want to be a young lady or a young gentleman. When you
Yeah.
act like a young lady or like a gentleman, you're going to be treated like that. You're going to be that kind of person, and that's going to be the outcome. That's what's going to come back to your family and your society, and that's what we want to support. We want to support a positive society as well. So I think that by the time they get through, they really understand why they want to be that kind of person.
What the actual
Yeah, that's the real transformation.
what the consequences will be after that. See, that's interesting because it's one thing to want to be happier, and it's another to want to be happier. Like if you
Yes.
really want something, you're going to do anything that it takes to get there. If you want something, then that's where you're just going back and you're like, oh, wouldn't it be nice? But you're not going to take any action.
Yeah, I know.
And I think that there's an important distinction there, and you need to decide for yourself which one it is that you want.
Yeah, and our teens today are really struggling with having an abundance and with having a lack of understanding that it is going to be their responsibility to become young adults, and that it is going to take the right attitude for them to be happy and for them to have good, healthy relationships. So one of the first things we do is encourage them to show love to their family members at home.
Love that.
And by being loving towards your parents, do something kind for your mom. Find ways that you can play with your brothers and sisters, even though you may not want to. That it's going to give you practice,
Do the
and that
dishes.
practice is going to give you experience. And then that way, when you do start dating, or when you do start finding other friends in college or whatever to hang out with, your goal is set to be a kind person. In which case, that's going to be a benefit to everybody all the way around.
So you're teaching teens how to essentially add value to wherever it is that they go, instead of sucking value
100.
from whatever environment
That is
they're
very
in.
well put.
It's exhausting when you meet those people. You know,
Yes.
love and I mean, definitely want to give them love and everything. I
Absolutely.
definitely don't want to, you know, talk bad about anybody, but we've all met those people where you're like, oh my goodness, it is so hard to be around that person.
Yes.
But kind of like what we're talking about, when we get together, we're all, let's go. We're going to take on the world. We're going to change everything, you
For
know?
sure.
And so to be able to give teens that skill, to be able to be that bright light wherever it is that they go
100%.
Is-
Bright light
is beautiful.
friendship
Beautiful.
is a big thing that
They
creates
want
too,
and they
'cause
need, not to feel
Oh.
awkward and to have that.
like you
friendship.
just said, you know, if people don't like you because you're a taker, then that's not going to lead you to a good life, because you're going to be alone. You're not going to have good friendships. You're not going to have good relationships. I don't know. I don't feel like that's a very positive direction to go. We are created to be with other people. So we teach them how to have better friendships and how to act kindly and all of those things, so that it does give them those particular
And how to stand
skills.
on their own 2 feet and you know, like stand up for themselves, maybe order their own meals, or
Yeah.
to find out ways that they can, you know, show their own individuality and be okay with that. One of our shining students is very quiet, and he has never been very outgoing, but his mother's very outgoing. And when he realized that it was okay for him to be who he was, and that was just to be chill, I think that she was more thrilled than she realized, because she thought he knows who he is and he's okay with that. And it was true, he did, and he does, and he still comes around to our
That's great.
social and things.
I love that.
Yeah.
Because I think that it can be difficult for all of us, really. But to kind of see other people that might be kind of more of a bigger personality, you might say, or might just be a different personality, whether it's quiet or if you're a kind of a more loud, like we all are, right?
Yeah.
To be able to kind of see someone that's quieter, but to be able to say, hey, it's okay that you are who you are.
Yes.
I used to be very self-conscious about my ADHD personality all over the place.
You're gregarious.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's just total, you know, goofy self when other people aren't. And there is something to be said about kind of meeting people where they're at, and you don't want to come in at a million miles an hour when they're like not ready for that.
Sure.
But there's also something to be said for feeling confident in who it is that you are. You know, being okay being the one that is more quiet when there's someone that's different.
100%.
You know, I think that's
And
so,
I think
so
that one of
important.
the things that we do successfully is to show them how they can help bring other people out.
Love that.
So that it's almost like we have an invisible chair where that person doesn't talk, and you sort of have a time of quiet or reflection. Or you can say, well, what do you think? You know, give me some ideas too about what you're thinking, because they do sometimes have ideas and want to share, but when they're around gregarious people, then, you know, it's a little hard to get your word in. So that's something that we try to show, that we want to get a balance. Everything's always about a
Yes.
balance.
It's that mindfulness of saying, oh, well, they're not quite, you know, as, you know, outgoing. So
Yeah.
still try to incorporate them
Absolutely, we're all equal.
through your questions, through, you know, leading questions and that sort of thing. I think that's
But if you're the one that is more talkative, we actually put the responsibility on them to include the one that is quiet. So we say, are you talkative or are you quiet? And then they say, I'm usually the one that's talkative. Sometimes that surprises me, sometimes it doesn't. I'm the one that's talkative. Okay, then pay attention to this video lesson and tell me how you can include that person that's quieter.
interesting.
So
Talking
that,
about coaching now.
No,
That's
yeah,
our
I
other
love-
profession, is we're both teen coach
that's all a
practitioners.
package.
Yeah.
So originally we had created these online modules, these online lessons, and we didn't plan to include the coaching. We were just going to do the curriculum, the workbook, and
With
the
questions and
online lessons.
challenges in it,
Gotcha,
yeah.
okay.
Yep.
So
but
what
then we
was it?
realized.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you perfect.
go ahead.
So what was it that changed? Like, why was that something that you incorporated?
They
Perfect.
weren't getting enough attention. The parents were not taking the time to really go through the questions. The kids were not really, you know, internalizing. You know, we can hear things and it makes sense and we like it, but we don't really apply it and really feel it and can repeat it back without a little bit of interaction with it.
Interesting.
And-
Yeah, so by interacting with the questions or with the coach, or, with their folks sitting down saying, did you really understand, a little bit, better?
And also, they weren't watching the lessons. And that's totally fine if we were in this just for the money, right? We would
'Cause they
just
buy it
sell
and
the
you take the
course
money,
and
yeah.
and then they never watch it. That's not good for us. We recorded these lessons because we want to help these teenagers. So the fact that that only like 50% were watching them, they were buying them and not watching them, that drove us nuts. So we're like, how do we stop? Like, how do we help that?
Yeah.
And that's where we learned about teen coaching. We were certified teen practitioners.
Beautiful.
And we had to get our certification from Australia because there was no
Interesting.
such thing here in America.
Oh, wow.
So we searched and searched when we first started this business to try to find somebody that we could mimic as a teen coach, mimic as like personal development for teenagers. And there's really, at that time, 7 years ago, we didn't have anyone to follow.
Wasn't much in that
So when we
space.
found that teen coach, we were stoked. She taught us a ton of wonderful things that really helped us become great coaches. So now between the curriculum, the online video lessons, and the Zoom call coaching, it's amazing, amazing. And the cool part is we can typically tell within 3 lessons if they're going to feel the empowerment.
Interesting.
Yeah, and you have different types of kids too. I mean, you have some know-it-alls, of course, and what we're talking about too is those that really want to excel, that are headed for leadership camp, basically.
Yeah.
And I mean, those are the ones also who really take in and understand what a benefit they have, and how when they get out there and start, networking with other people and things like that, they're really going to do well with it. So it isn't just like one type of person or kid that we're relating to, which is challenging, of course.
Yeah.
But it makes it fun because they do see this point, but this point is something they didn't really think about, and then that's something that they can begin to build on.
That's great. So it's kind of like a one-size-fits-all kind of approach where it's like anybody of any type of personality can come into it. But I guess the commonality that it would be is the willingness to change,
Exactly.
right? It's the whole you can lead
To
a
grow.
horse to water,
And we want to grow.
can't make them drink. They have to make that
Yes.
decision.
First 3 lessons, we can tell if they will be empowered or not. Because if that second lesson kind of like gets to them, or even the third visualization one, if those 2 rock them at all, they're on the path.
That's awesome.
And the parent has to feel bad too, and the kid needs to understand you're really making your parent feel bad because they think it's their fault that the kid's not succeeding.
Yeah.
They don't realize that you're just lazy, or that you think you know it all, and so therefore it's not your parents' fault. You need to wise up and realize there's a big world out there and you're going to have to deal with it. So it may be a good day to start today.
No, I love that though. I think that it's very important to get rid of that sense of entitlement and take ownership over what you're going to do with your life, right?
Yes.
So here's a question
Totally.
that I had, because I've done some work with like teens' homes and different things, and they'll go and they stay there for months on at a time, and they go through all these lessons and they learn what the cognitive distortions are, the warped ways of thinking that prevent them from feeling happy and fulfilled and being able to function in society. But then a lot of times what was seen is that when they got home, those things would kind of fizzle out because there was no incorporation in the family. So how do you connect what the students are learning to then cooperation with the parents to keep the growth going, as opposed to saying, here's this amazing stuff, and then they get home and it's just like, we're done.
Yeah. Good question. I love this question so much. So the first thing that we do is we come up with a goal with the parent. So
With the parents.
With the parent.
Beautiful.
That's the very first thing that we do in our discovery call is our first question to the parent is, tell me a little bit about what's going on. And that gives the parent an opportunity to say, my son, he's not being nice to his stepsister. Or my son is really awesome, but he isn't really wanting to socialize. Or My son kind of has a bad attitude. He's just kind of, and I say son because we do have quite a few gentlemen that are in our course, and we're really proud of that because I feel like a lot of courses do focus a lot on girls, and we do both.
Awesome.
Both boys and girls.
love
And a
that.
lot of the stuff that the girls are getting, that are gaining from this, is the same kind of like self-awareness and confidence and, you know, that self-love. But back to your original question of how we partner with the parents. That's the first thing. We set goals with the parents. Then we talk to the teen. That's the second thing. Based on the goals, and we don't usually tell the teen anything that their parents said unless it's positive.
Oh,
So we'll say,
cool.
you know
Okay.
what? Your mom told us that you're in karate. That's amazing. Oh my gosh, tell me more about that. Yeah, your parents were just telling, I mean, if there's any teenagers, don't I'm sure your parents told us only good things about you. But, you know, so we build them up by incorporating
Well,
their
help them
parents
see,
into it.
help them see their own qualities. A lot of times you can say, you're a very handsome person. You've got, you know, the background here looks like you have a nice, neat room. You know, there's things that they were like, oh, this is a benefit. This is a good thing, you know, and then help them start seeing what their goals are. And then a lot of them change goals, of course. But at least if they start looking at setting some goals, that helps. I think in order to incorporate the family to the child is not as much as what we would do to say that we're going to take the child and incorporate it as an individual. And now you're an individual in your family and you're heading a direction of becoming an adult and having the responsibilities and having the opportunities. And that way the adult, hopefully the parent, is going to back up of the things that we give them that show them what they can do to continue to practice, to continue to grow in that sense. But it's the young adult that we're really trying to pull out.
No, I love that. So you're, at the same time, while planning with the parents, you are also instilling the principles in the teen that no matter what happens,
Yes.
whether you're supported or not, it's up to you.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. And that's where that empowerment comes from. That no matter what happens, it's up to you, and you are in control.
And you get credit for it too.
And yeah.
Valid.
No, and I think that's great.
Yeah,
I think
heck
that's
yeah.
fantastic. So, just to kind of land the plane here, one of my favorite things, one of my favorite questions, and I'll ask kind of both of you this question separately. So, positivity is one of my main things that I think about constantly, but it's not all about sunshine and rainbows, because life is not sunshine and rainbows all the time. But positivity to me is resilience. When life punches you in the face, knocks you on your butt, are you going to get back up and you're going to keep fighting? So this segment that I like to call the positivity prize fighter segment, you know, so a positivity prize fighter moment in your life when life knocked you down but you still got up. We'll start with Claudia. When is a time that you could see in your life where it very easily could have been a time when you threw in the towel, but you didn't?
Well, you know, I have an adult son, and I just adore the young man, and I think that he made some bad choices all on his own, because he's a smart kid, and it didn't work quite as well for him. So, you know, for me to be able to say that I was able to, you know, feel okay about the fact that those things didn't go as well as I thought that, you know, maybe I could have done different things, but it didn't go as well. Well, that was about the same time I ran into Addie again. She had been gone to college. She had been living in California. And all of a sudden she shows up and says, "Mom, moved to Arizona." Well, I, you know, was living in Colorado and the weather was so cold, so I went. My husband and I liked it here,
It's a little
and
different.
so yeah. And then here she is, just a ray of hope. I mean, the idea that she was interested in my writing. And she was interested in working up a business, quitting a high-paying job for not a very well-paid job. And so that would be the closest thing I could think of, to say that to take, you know, and realize your kids are different. You have to work with what you've got to work with. But, you know, in the long run, I got a real blessing.
I love
And
that.
and he's doing great now. He's got a wonderful family and everything's great. So it all did work out, but it's taken, how many years are you? Oh, never mind.
Yeah, well, we won't disclose ages on here, but was that difficult as a parent, kind of seeing your child make difficult, situations that made their life difficult, and was it difficult to not put that back on yourself, to say, to get depressed about, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that? Like, how did you not?
I knew there were choices that I could have made that would have probably made a difference, but I also knew that there wasn't any way that I was going to change that, so I wasn't going to linger on it.
I love that. So
Or worry about it.
recognizing where you could change as a lesson, but not going so much into it to where the shame becomes debilitating.
Yeah, no.
Beautiful. I
Yeah.
think that's fantastic.
No shame or guilt.
No, I think that's fantastic. So Addie, same question to you. What's a time in your life where you've had the positivity prize fighter moment?
How much time do I have left? I'm shaking.
Yeah.
Every day? I mean, for me, I, instead of like kind of looking at the negative in it, I'm always looking for the positive. So I focus on what I can see as positive, assuming that that's going to create momentum for me. So that's kind of the direction that I am doing as an older person, a younger older person. But the time that I can really think of that made a big difference to me, that I kind of flipped the script and created this business, this passion that we're currently doing. When I was a teenager, when I was in high school, I went to my high school and I said, I'm awesome, right? Like, I'm smart, I'm outgoing, I can conquer the world. Please help me figure out what I should be when I grow up.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of these resources now, which I love, love, love the high schools that we work with, because they are pushing this.
Great.
And I encourage it a lot for them to research what they want to do. So my counselor said they couldn't help me. That's not what we do, and gave me a brochure about, I don't know, I want to say like Kit Kats. It was totally unrelated.
Interesting.
It wasn't really Kit Kats, but it
No,
was that
something totally unrelated.
Yeah, and so I was just extremely frustrated. I was sad. I was let down. I was like, well, then why am I going to high school? Like,
What's
what?
the point?
What's the point? Exactly. So at that time, I was kind of bummed. I was let down. I was like, like my balloon was deflated. I went in there, this awesome human being that was going to be able to, oh, well, you should be the CEO of your own company someday. And that's actually what we ended up doing. But what that helped me to realize is just how important one adult is. One supportive, encouraging adult in your life as a teenager is really such an important thing, I mean, my parents were both entrepreneurs, so I didn't want to be an entrepreneur. I am, and I love it, but I didn't want to be an entrepreneur. I had to do the corporate direction in order to swing me back around to my passion. But really and truly, it was that sadness when I was a teenager that gave me the passion and the excitement and the positivity for wanting to work with teenagers. When we first started this, everyone looked at us like we were crazy because we wanted to work with teenagers, wanted to work with teenagers. And we still love it. Every day that we coach, every time that I get off of a Zoom call with a teenager, I'm pumped, I'm excited. So
No, thank you. I think that's such a beautiful thing, and the fact that you can take the difficult time in your life and realize that it provides fuel for the future.
Yeah.
And I think that the next level of awareness, you could say, is being able to, in the moment that you're going through the hard time, realize, okay, I know that this is going to make me stronger if I keep going.
Yeah.
It's kind of like working out, right? When you're working out, you can feel the pain, but you know that that's what leads to growth. And so I think if we can kind of reverse engineer that and apply it to other areas of our life,
definitely,
it will help us get through those times to be able to get to that growth.
Using your feelings and emotions to navigate that is really helpful.
Intuition.
Because you know yourself better than anybody.
Yes.
No one knows your thoughts. No one knows how you're feeling. So if you can utilize your emotions to go, oh, this isn't feeling good, then switch it, change it, do something else. Even take a nap, go for a walk, whatever you have to do. Change your mind.
One of my favorite quotes from this podcast that we've done, an episode with Stephanie Barreto, which we'll put a link in the description, but she said that emotion is information.
Yes.
Which I love.
Exactly.
When you're feeling something, anger, happiness, sadness, whatever it is information to you to say, okay, well, something's up. What is it? How do we either replicate it if it's positive, or what do we need to do to change it if it's negative?
That is spot on, and that's the basic method that we teach about communication. So we take a look at the feeling first, then we see after we are able to consider the more positive aspect of the situation, what we think about the situation, and then we go into the thought about, what's going on here and who's involved and how's that working, and then take that into the third phase, which is basically what is the compromise, or how can we, see the benefit come out of this. And when you're in a conversation, a lot of times just finding out how people feel, and then you begin to see how they're thinking about certain things, and then you're able to kind of move forward with, a resolution of some sort. I think that feeling is the first thing, but it's not the most important thing, because feelings are very deceiving sometimes.
Interesting.
And they change easily.
Yeah.
Oh,
and we
absolutely.
actually encourage the teenagers to understand, like, you are in control of your emotions. You can change it. Shake it off. Shake it off.
yeah. Thanks, T Swift.
I know, right?
No, I think that's fantastic. Is that whilst being important, they are not all encompassing.
Totally.
Right. Like
Right.
we don't have to. We should definitely pay attention.
It's part of the information.
right.
Yeah, and then you're thinking, and what you can see is going on as part of the information. So, and then using that information, to do something positive with it. Does it take an action? No, not really. I don't have to do anything. I'll walk away. But if I have to take an action, this is the reason I'm taking that action.
Beautiful. I love that. I love that. Feel it, interpret it, and then see where to go from there.
Yes.
Exactly.
I love that. I love that. Well, thank you so much for being on. Oh my
Thank
goodness.
you.
So I want to, you had mentioned a special
Yes.
that I want to make sure that we highlight.
Good.
So for
Awesome.
our viewers and listeners, what is the special that you guys have going on right now?
Awesome. Thank you so much. Well, if empowerment sounds like something that one of your viewers are interested in, if there are personal development, parents that are interested in personal development for themselves and want to try this out for their teenagers, we can do a non-commitment. We want to give them 3 free coaching sessions and 3 of our best lessons.
Great.
So we will walk them through the lessons and sit on the Zoom call. We give them the actual coaching with the lesson the same way that we do it in our normal coaching.
Beautiful.
But by the end of those 3 lessons, we have seen already changes, and they're free, and it's really beneficial for us because we just love working with the teenagers. We love to see that improvement. So
So it runs around 40 minutes, 30 to 40 minutes. It's not lesson 1 and 2 in the first module. It's lessons 3, 4, and 5. So, we get moved in there a little way, so it's got some depth in that sense of what their path is that they're going to be working on. But it's a real opportunity. It's a value of about $1,000.
Oh, wow.
So, that you're going to have a chance to see and feel how it works. And like I say, it works for both levels. It works for those that are really looking for added education and really looking to solidify some of their feelings. When my friend met Addie, he said she's the product of the product. I mean, he could just see all these things, and I think that sometimes I did not tell her what to do, or I didn't say things to her until she asked my opinion, and she got to make her own mistakes, and so that was always helpful too. And I think that a lot of those kinds of things are really brought out when we have a chance to talk with the teens, where they can make a commitment and say, I really think this is fun, and I'm going to want to do this some more. Because I think where they're headed is stuff that I'm going to need in the future. And we've seen that kids come back that are 20, 22, 24. Right now they're saying, oh my gosh, I didn't think that was going to happen, but it did. I was like, I learned this already in I was going to say etiquette school, but that was what it was called before, whereas now it's life skills classes. So
Awesome.
yeah.
So we have 3 free coaching, 3 free lessons. It's part of our teen empowerment training, and we are calling this the mini training.
Cool.
So they can find that on Life Skills for Confidence.
Yeah, it's really worth it. It's fun.
Facebook, Instagram. I'm sure you'll put
Yeah.
a link to it.
Yeah, we'll put all your tags, where you can find them.
Sweet.
Um,
And we actually have a link
Great.
directly that they can go and put in a parent questionnaire, set up an appointment with us, all right with the link that I'll send you.
Great.
Yep,
We'll include
they'll
that.
learn it.
We'll include that as well. Well,
Awesome.
thank you so much, guys. And for everybody watching and listening, if you're a parent and you're wanting to empower your teen, this is definitely something that you can use to be able to do that. You guys have seen and heard how amazing this is and what a difference it can make. If you're a teen that's watching this and that sounds like something that you really want to do, that you want to learn more about yourself, you want to learn how to gain that empowerment, that control over your life and your environment, then this also is the way to go.
Okay.
I love you guys. We'll see you on the next one.
Thank you so much. This has been a blast.
Great.